a lot of drama going on amongst some of us. We have our little side discussions here and there, and a little bit of troubles in paradise. So I'll be honest, and I'll share my email at the end of this episode. I don't usually share my email. A few of you guys have had it shared once. I'll throw it at the end of this. You guys can jump to the end if you want, or for those of you that are actually still sticking around, I'll hand it out. But maybe it's a good time to kind of reach out to your favorite YouTuber or your favorite creator, especially the ones that are doing this type of work, and maybe just remind them, in a few words, hey, I love you, here's why. Because sometimes we have our own struggles, it's one thing just to be out in front of everybody and trying to do the right thing. It's another to have some disagreements in your own little circles. And again, it's a disagreement. There's some people that aren't quite seeing eye to eye. I don't want to get in the middle of it at all. I want to say I actually love all these people, even the ones that aren't getting along right now. But again, it's just part of the drama that we deal with. Now, part of this whole thing is similar to what I'm trying to pose here in this picture. If all of your friends walked off the cliff, would you walk with them? And I know that's kind of a tough question. I know a lot of people would be like, well, duh. But I think where we're at today, with the way the virus is, with the way politics are, with the way people are afraid to step away from the herd, it's a lot easier to say, no, I wouldn't jump off the cliff than when you're actually in the position where you're being told you either jump or no. And I think for some of us, many of us, we might very well be coming up to what that line actually is. And our decision is going to be paramount in the bigger picture. We give in here, you're done, period. A lot of people might be like, we'll live to fight another day. And I'm very strong with the adage that's going around right now, which is, if not now, when? And if not me, then who? And it's really a question that each and every one of us should be asking ourselves. Plus, we've got a lot of other information politically and whatnot that we need to make sure we keep reminding these politicians what side they're supposed to be on, and to tell them to stop asking us to jump off the cliff. I mean, a great example, and we'll get to it here in a second, the very next slide, in fact, it will kind of make my point. But to start it all off with, we've seen Trump brought it up again over the weekend about Durham. Where's Durham? Other people are talking about Durham. Of course, have you seen me? Tell me, have you seen her? Yeah, we're wondering where the hell this guy is going. Now, odds are, and this is the suspicion, is that this is being brought up as, one, a reminder, hey, don't forget about Durham, but two, because maybe some stuff's coming. Now, we're definitely running up against the line, folks. So for those of you that are like, Durham's never going to come out, maybe you're right, but most likely you're not. And the timing is very important. And we've got a lot of things being trying to be rammed through Congress right now. And we've got a lot of laws that they're trying to pass, draconian ones, majorly so. They're trying to jam down our throats right now. Why is there such a huge push now? Why is there such a hurry? Right? If this is something where they could just drag it on for another 2-3 years while Biden's still in office and slowly wear us down, well, they would. They don't have that kind of time. Why? I don't know exactly. I mean, I suspect it ties into their master plan that Trump screwed up, that, Obama was 8 years of it, Hillary was supposed to be the other 8 years, and by the time we're where we are right now, we should have been through a nuclear war, and probably all sorts of other calamities would have befallen us. So a lot of things haven't happened the way they wanted, Deep State wanted, and so here we are facing it. Some other things to consider. Clay Clark's been talking a lot about it. I love the guy. I love the fact that he's showing up everywhere. I had him on my show not long ago. He's talking about how we've got the luciferase that's within the vaccine. It's patented. It's part of that. How the patent ID that they've got are like 666. How COVID-19 is, if you add up all the characters, C being 3 and O being 15 or whatever the hell it is, spells out COVID. You actually add that up equals 66. There's 6 letters, so it's 666. Talking about how Google Chrome is 666. Talking about how all these different 666 things are running around right now. If there never was more reference, maybe accidentally, maybe intentionally, to the mark of the beast, I don't know what more could kind of hint in that direction other than what we're currently seeing. So again, when all of our politicians are suggesting, hey, just walk off the cliff, I'm right behind you, keep this in mind. We are not all in this together. Politicians and state and local officials have not given up one paycheck. They have not plowed under their fields or slaughtered their livestock or dumped their milk. They have not lost their homes or businesses. They have not laid awake all night wondering how they will feed their families or pay their bills. As they continue to enforce some of their draconian restrictions, not one of them is suffering from their own decisions. They are not now and never will be any part of we in this. It's exceptionally important to understand this. Now, Trump, I would say, is part of we. He's been attacked harder than any of us almost, really. They've gone after his family. They've gone after everybody that knows him. They've absolutely gone after that guy. So Trump, yes, you can stand here with we. We are happy to have you. But the rest of you guys, no. You all got a long way to go to prove that you are loyal to us, we the people. Now, I know many of you politicians think that this is in the bag, think that who cares what Dan thinks, and I get it. I understand why you come to that conclusion. Problem is, this is the part in history where things are different. This is the part in history where God is fighting with us. This is the part in history where millions of souls have come to this planet in the hopes of helping for what is going on right now. You're fighting a war against a spiritual class, a spiritual group of warriors, or in some cases, peaceful warriors. But we are warriors nonetheless. Maricopa County continues to claim their fraudits were performed by 2 voting machine companies were sufficient. By the way, the same groups that audit or fraudit to make sure that these machines are okay to use for elections are the same ones that audited it after, so kind of like auditing themselves. So of course they're not going to necessarily find anything, are they? So after Arizona State Senator Sonny Borrelli issues a formal request to Attorney General Brnovich to investigate Maricopa County's non-compliance with legislative subpoenas, Maricopa County has continued to claim innocence. Yeah, continuing to claim innocence. Our election professionals and board members have complied with the Senate demands and supplied everything professional auditors would need to do their job. Really? Because they're only looking at something like, well, let's just break it down here. Source code tests only tested 20% of the election day tabulators and 40% of the adjudication stations. This is what the frauditors actually looked at. 20% of the election day tabulators and 40% of the adjudication stations. Pro V&V and SLI compliance found that all software and equipment inspected was using certified software and was not modified. We've already seen from the auditors from multiple states, mind you, that they had SQL Server Management Studios on there, SSMS. That was installed on there. That was not part of the packet of stuff that's supposed to be installed. So that's one thing that these auditors missed that's key. Malicious software and hardware tests only tested 20% of the election day tabulators and 40% of the adjudication stations. Pro V&V and SLI compliance found no instances of malicious software or hardware installed on the tabulators or the systems. But we've since found out there's a number of ways you could do it. They could boot to network drive. They could boot to USB. All of those things were turned on. They could do any number of things. Both the US front and back USB drives were okay. I mean, they had to be able to offload the votes. I get it. But you could boot from USB. That shouldn't happen. It's one thing to allow reading and writing to USBs. It's another to allow booting from one. So that, again, doesn't seem to go well with the fraudit. Network connectivity tests found no evidence of internet connectivity. So we've seen there was wireless, and we've seen that there was actual network cards and cables plugged in and the ability to boot from a network card. So that seems fraudulent. And finally, accuracy tests found no evidence of vote switching and concluded that the equipment tabulated and adjudicated ballots accurately. Well, we already heard about one example where someone admitted, oh, it was an accident, didn't mean to flip all those votes to somebody else. Whoops, does that what that button does? I didn't know. I'm sorry. So that's incorrect. Now is the time to understand, folks, we are being lied to. They're not going to tell us the truth at all. It's up to us to figure out what's going on, and then it's up to us to make a crap ton of noise about it. Spamming our senators and House members in the states that we're in, flooding them with phone calls daily, just reminding them that you better not pass these horrible laws, you better not pass through this infrastructure bill, this Green New Deal crap. You better not be raising my taxes. You better not be locking me down. You better not be supporting vaccine passports. We need to be making noise. We need to be involved in our local school boards. We have to make noise. We don't want to be aggressive. We don't want to be violent. We don't want to be getting in people's faces. We need to make noise. We need them to hear us. And we can do that through the normal channels. Again, yes, does every call we make to these state legislatures matter? No, and I'm there with you. But when hundreds of us do it, they have to listen. They have to, as much as they don't want to.